Hey everyone, welcome to this newest of screenplay podcasts. I still don't know what we're going to call it, but I do know what it's going to be about. Uh, Mostly. Shannon O'Connor is here with me. Introduce yourself, Shannon.
Hello, everybody. I'm Shannon. I'm new to video gaming, and this is what we're talking about.
And that is why I wanted her on the show. I'm a storied video game boy, as it were. I've been playing video games since I can really remember. My first memory with video games, as we'll get into more deeply as the episode goes along, uh, is with the Batman and Robin video game on PlayStation 1, playing it with my mama. But
Aw.
yeah, that's kind of what I wanted this show to be about. This show so far, thusly unnamed, uh, is just video games. Because it's a huge part of my life up until now and then ongoing. It's probably the hobby I spend the most time involved in. Probably a little too much time sometimes. And Shannon, only more recently, has developed her intimate relationship with video gaming. And I feel like the dichotomy there is going to make for some guffaws and guffaws as we discuss some topics in gaming, both classical and modern. We might even cover the news every once in a while. Who the fuck knows?
That's
So
what I'm
anyway,
here
how you been,
for.
Shannon?
I've been good. I mean, for video game wise, I've been kind of neglecting my PlayStation recently, and I feel bad about it because I got a Switch. So
Oh,
I've
okay. Well, then
and
that's all right.
yeah, no, I've been like very deep into Animal Crossings right now. And so I have it's like I say I'm like neglecting my PlayStation, and I mean like I haven't played it in like maybe a week, which is not that long, but I feel
Well,
like
it's
I
longer
turned
than
it
I've
on
gone.
yesterday. I turned it on yesterday just to like see it and hear the music because that's the problem I have now.
Oh
But then
man.
I was like, do I want to continue my BioShock play at like 9 o'clock at night? I'm like, no, I really don't because I'm gonna get scared. So
Yeah, I recently have been for the show actually, and for other reasons. You know about it, but the audience does not. Uh, Screenplays Brian Roth, who is a many time recurring host on our other podcasts, and will probably guest on this show more often than not. Um, and I have a bet going on at the moment. He's a pretty intense completionist when it comes to video games.
mhm,
He's got, I think, like 40 odd platinums at this point in his life,
that's crazy.
which
I
is
have like
kind of nuts.
three.
Well, I'm once I made the mistake of checking the stats of our PlayStation trophies against one another, and I realized that uh, out of myself, Freddie, and Brian, who before Shannon came along were my most immediate video game friends, and now Shannon has come along and firmly joined that group of people. Uh,
Right.
Thanks to Warzone, which I'm sure we'll cover in some episode down the line. But I realized that I had the least amount of platinums, but almost the most amount of trophies.
Yeah,
So
I think you do.
I've played more video games, but
Yes.
completed way fewer. Um, so I decided that there's so many games that I love, and I wanted to focus in on them a little bit more and kind of round out exactly how much, like, do the definitive playthrough, I guess.
Yeah.
So the bet is I can get to 30 platinums before, from I think I had 9
Oh wow.
or 8. I can get to 30 before Brian gets to 40 from 30.
Wow. I mean,
And
that's
I
kind of putting
I'm
yourself in a bad position.
well, since this has started, Brian has added one more platinum to his collection, and I have added 9.
Wow. All right. Well,
So I'm at 18 at this point, I believe. Um, platinums that I have recently got include both Spider-Man PS4 games, Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us 2,
Oh, you did?
Ratchet
You
and
finished
Clank
that one?
PS4. Oh yeah, I just did it this weekend.
Aw. Did you have to do the
Yeah,
entire playthrough of the second game, or did you only have to do like
I
half?
was gonna do it anyway. I wanted to do the new game plus.
Well,
But it's funny.
I have questions about that.
The last trophy I got was the last collectible in the game. So it was kind of
Wow.
symbolic. The platinum popped right as I'm, spoiler alert for The Last of Us 2. You have been warned. Turn away. Stop listening. 3, 2, 1. Right as I'm about to walk down to the beach to the final confrontation with Abby, the platinum pinged. So I
Oh,
was like,
where's the
this is,
last? That's a
it's,
first of all, that's a great like time for it to ping.
it it was a very emotional journey the second time through.
I
As
found so I
more
have
so than the
I'm on
first
my
time. You're on your
really
what?
I'm on my second playthrough. I'm on my second playthrough, and I
Mm-hmm.
am at again spoiler alert. I feel like it's been at this point you've already heard it, and
I
you're
definitively
yeah.
spoiler alerted enough.
Okay, so I'm playing it again for like a friend to watch because she doesn't want to actually play it. So I
Mm-hmm.
got to where I'm at the farm and I have not gone back to finish it because I'm just like every time I'm like, let's do it, and I'm like, nope. I'm like, I don't want to. I don't
It's
want
funny.
to.
We could get
I
into
don't
it
want
because
to.
The Last of Us 2 counts as one of your
The
like
yeah.
introductory experiences with gaming. Because one of the topic I wanted to cover today, after we did a little, noshing and some news, was our first like memories and experiences with gaming, and more focused, our first full completed game. Like maybe not completionisted, but like beat the first game we ever beat. And for you,
Mm,
I believe the first game you ever beat was The Last of Us, correct?
no, it's
Oh,
Spider-Man.
oh, right.
Well, yes. First game fully first narrative game that I have fully beat to the end was Spider-Man. Last of Us would be the first narrative game that I beat to the end.
Well, they're
So
both. I would call
there,
them both narrative
I
games.
yes. Well, I mean, in terms of linear versus open world, I guess
I hear
they're
what you're saying.
the
So
only
Spider-Man
different
was the first like completionist
game. Yeah,
thing game,
yeah.
and The Last of
I
Us was the first like story you beat all the way through.
But I would say I feel like in terms of experiencing with gaming and like really falling in love with it and being like, okay, this is awesome. I would say they both have a very big part in that. I
Hmm.
would not take The Last of Us out of that in any way.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it was definitely. I mean, we can get into this more later, of course, but yeah, definitely both were very formative,
Hmm.
and it feels like it was like 5 years ago that I played them, but it was literally like a few months ago, but
It was.
everything
Well,
feels like a bubble right now, so
I
we're just
remember
going with it
when
was 5 years ago.
I remember when Brian first told me he had been playing Call of Duty with you,
When was
and I was
this?
like, that's awesome, dude. This is like right around when Modern Warfare came out and Warzone was about to launch. So just before COVID, we were so naive. Um,
It was like I think because I did play it with him once. Oh, I was so bad. Oh man, we like had me like hide in a house. Like he was just like just stay there. Just don't move. Just stay there. How far I've come since then. I still kind of hide
seriously,
sometimes, but like,
I'm quite proud of your growth as a gamer.
oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's
Not
been fun.
genuinely.
It's been really fun, and I've learned like a lot. I mean, again, and we'll get into this. It's not like I've never gamed before, so like
Mhm.
it was a learning curve, but like not as much as other people where like I was over at home during Christmas time and I gave my dad my controller and he was like, "What's up and down?" and it was so sad. Um so like it wasn't like I had to learn all of that stuff. I kind of I knew that, but I hadn't played like an actual video game on a console in probably like 10 years
Mhm.
or maybe more.
And that first one was Spider-Man or The Last of Us. I don't remember.
The first game I started playing when I first got my PlayStation, I played a lot of sports games, but
All
the
right.
first, like, actual game was Spider-Man, yeah,
Nice.
and then
That's
I played
a
a little of the
great
Call of
one.
Duty. Yeah.
Spider-Man's a good one to start with because it's kind of fun that like one of my earliest gaming memories because it's like I was always games adjacent.
Mhm.
Like my dad liked video games when he was younger. Yeah, I say younger, but I'm referring to when he was the age I am now. Um, so I remember one of the first, like when my mom and my dad first got married, like I just said a second ago, they were kind of young. Not like high school young, but still. I believe my mom was 23 and my dad was 22 when they had me.
Oh.
And we were pretty poor starting out. I mean, as any 20 somethings would be fresh out of
Yeah,
college with a
that's
child.
hard. That's hard.
Um, and I talk about it a lot in the other shows. And so I won't get into it too much here, but my dad has shaved years off of his life with how hard he has worked to dig my family out of that place that we were in back in the day because we weren't well off. We weren't dirt poor, but it was we like my dad's. My dad likes to say he's still paying off some of my diapers. I mean, it's fun. It's helpful because I only just stopped wearing them when I was 21, but still,
I
uh,
mean, that was good that you really helped him out by, stopping so early.
yeah. But no, he they both did worked very hard to make sure I had a good childhood. So when I say that I didn't really get to play video games as much as I may have wanted to when I was a kid, that's not me griping about my childhood. That's more just a statement of fact. Like I
Mhm.
had a PlayStation. My mom, it's one of the sweetest things. My mom wanted to treat me and my dad at the same time. So she saved up her paychecks for a couple weeks and bought the PlayStation 1 when it came out and
That's
brought it home
amazing.
for me and my dad and we played I think we played Gran Turismo 3 2 or 3, which is a racing game for those of you who don't know. PlayStation exclusive racing game. And then the Batman and Robin movie tie-in game. And it was funny because my dad would get frustrated with me because I'd crash the Batmobile into the walls all the time. I was like 4, maybe.
Gosh, you really young.
Yeah, when we started playing, and I just didn't quite get it. But my mom would sit and play with me when she would have to watch me and stuff, and we would always get stuck at the Mr. Freeze the first time you fight Mr. Freeze. That game I went back to it a few years ago after having developed my gamer brain, and since I've played a lot more games, and it's actually like that game is impressive. It's open world on the
Oh,
PlayStation
wow.
1 and it doesn't give you like objective markers. You have to find clues in the world and parse those clues out to figure out where Mr. Freeze and his gang are going to strike next.
Hmm.
And that's insane for a PlayStation 1 Batman and Robin tie-in game. And it's like the combat sucks and the world's not all that pretty, but it still as a concept is very cool. And even the like Arkham games that I love don't get that close with the detective work. Um, but yeah, I don't really remember a ton of or my early memories of gaming beyond at home.
Mhm.
But it was always Sony. My dad's a Sony shill a little bit. He's a big old Sony whore, and that kind of meant that it was always going to be PlayStation growing up. But
Yeah.
I remember I played Spyro
Okay.
with my cousin Heather a lot. I played Crash Bandicoot and Crash Bandicoot 2 with my aunt Megan a lot and my cousin Heather and Crash Warped. But I didn't really like have one-on-one time with video games until we moved and finally kind of my brother was just about to be born, I believe. And my mom, no, this was before. Sorry, I think. I don't remember. It's a long time ago. The PlayStation 2 was out though. And we couldn't afford to get one. And I knew that. So I don't remember asking a lot. If I did, I apologize, mom. But we got a we got a PlayStation 2. Or sorry, we didn't get it. We didn't have the money to get a PlayStation 2, but my mom wanted me to be able to play it because she knew that, like, I love video games and shit. So Blockbuster was still around. And we would
Oh
go
my gosh. Yep.
my mom would take me to Blockbuster, and I would rent a PlayStation 2 for, I think it
You
was 2
could rent
weeks.
them there?
Yeah, you could rent the PlayStation 2 for 2 weeks, and it came with 2 games. And I
I
would
didn't know
get
that. I just
the
rented games there. I never
Yeah.
rented I didn't know you could rent an actual console there.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
that's interesting.
It was so cool. My mom did this for me. And it was like a treat for, like, doing good on a test or getting good grades on my report card or whatever, helping around the house, whatever. And it
Wow.
was so cool because I, like, for that 2 weeks, then, because my mom was paying for it for a limited time, I wouldn't get in trouble for playing for playing for a long time. Uh,
Yeah.
but she wouldn't let me waste entire days. But you get what I'm saying. But
Mhm.
the game that came with it when I rented it was the Sam Raimi Spider-Man tie-in game, Spider-Man 1.
I have that. Well, I played
Mhm.
that on GameCube.
Mhm. And
Yep.
I
Yep.
remember how much I loved the
That game's
PS1
so
and
good.
PS2 Spider-Man games. It's like, there's superhero content has a long storied history of being garbage for a long time, until the, like, I mean, it's always because, like, and it's every generation, but, like, Spider-Man is one of the entities that kind of dodged the butt trash video games. Like, some of the, like, Game Boy tie-ins aren't great, but, like, no Game Boy tie-in is ever great except for some of the Harry Potter games. But, like, the Spider-Man PS1 games, like Maximum Carnage, and uh, I think there's one that's just called Spider-Man. Like, I played those
So when
games
I played, yeah.
till they were unplayable anymore. But I was so bad, so, like, I wouldn't make progress. There were always, like, these, like I would, like, let the preview, because, like, sometimes on old games, if you let them sit on the start menu for too long, they would show, like, a preview of later on in the game. Did you ever know that? Did you ever experience
I
that?
I don't know if they did that with I can't remember if that happened with GameCube, because I
Mm,
had a GameCube. I
okay,
never had a PlayStation until now,
got it.
so I can't
Yeah,
remember.
on
I
some of the
I
PS2 games, they
feel
would,
like they
like,
might have.
yeah, like the Batman and Robin game was one that did that. Like, it would show a part later in the game that I always thought was cool, and I would set up all my, like, stuffed animals and bring in a snack and just let the preview start and watch the game being played later on in parts that I would never be able to get to at the time because I wasn't good enough at video games.
Early Twitch. Aw, early
early
Twitch.
early let's plays. Um but yeah, those
Honestly,
Spider-Man games
that's
are some of my
amazing.
earliest memories with gaming, and I remember the first game I ever beat, I believe it was either Spider-Man 2 tie-in game, which was the best superhero game until Arkham Asylum came out, and remained the best
Mhm,
Spider-Man game, I think, until Spider-Man PS4 came out.
mhm.
Um, or Jack and Daxter. I can't remember which one I
Okay,
beat first. So we'll talk. I'll talk about both of them at some point. But yeah, it's like I've been a Sony baby my whole life.
that's amazing.
It's like I don't have, so it's, like, funny that you have a lot of experience with, like, the Nintendo side of things, because
I'm a Nintendo head, yeah.
I just don't. Like, I didn't play a Pokemon game till I was in, like, 8th grade.
Oh
Uh
gosh.
I didn't have a Game Boy until I was in, like, 6th or 7th.
I
And
think
then,
that's
even
around when
then,
I got mine too.
yeah, it's like a lot of my friends had a Game Boy, and then a Game Boy Color, and then a Game Boy Advance. I got a Game Boy Advance, and
Yes,
I also,
same.
but my favorite, I didn't play any of the, like, proprietary, like, I didn't play, like, Mario ever. I still, up to this day, have
Really?
not really
Oh,
ever
Mario 64 is
played
really
Mario.
fun.
Yeah, I have memories of, like, my cousins having it and playing levels here and there, but it's funny, like even at the time, I didn't have the interest. I liked Sony more. Like I liked Jack and Daxter and Ratchet and Clank and all that more. So I didn't
That's
ever like
interesting.
want the like Sonic or Mario games. And it's like later on in my adulthood, I've gone back and I played like Mario Sunshine and Mario 64 by
I love
completely
64.
legitimate emulator kind of ways. And they're great. They're great games. But yeah, I'm a Sony head.
Yeah,
But how about
that's
you?
interesting. Yeah, I mean, I love Sony now. I mean, I love PlayStation now. I'm completely bought in to
Mhm.
PlayStation. But yeah, growing up, I don't remember when I got the GameCube, but I remember me and my sister like begging for any sort of gaming console. More me than I think my sister. My sister like didn't really care.
Sure.
It was definitely more of a me thing. Uh, and I feel I wasn't. Yeah, so we got a GameCube, and I don't remember how we got it, but I just know we got it. um, I think it was like eventually we earned enough in like that we did good, like we did our chores for so many like weeks that we finally like earned up to it.
Uh-huh.
But my parents, like, my mom's a teacher. She was very much not a fan of like violent video games.
Uh-huh.
And
My mom
so
was the same way a little bit. A little bit.
yeah,
My
yeah. I
dad liked
mean,
stuff enough that he kind of would lobby for me because he was my dad was very much I don't really care what you watch as long as you know not to repeat it
yeah, I feel
or
like
let it
there's no
yeah.
correlation between violent video games and any
Oh,
sort of
there's
violent actions.
absolutely
So
not.
no, there's no
Addictive
scientific
behavior
data.
towards video games maybe, but that's a
Yes,
completely different
yes,
thing.
different topic. But so she was just, I just think she didn't like want to see it on her TV screen because I mean we didn't have a ton of TVs at that time, so
Mhm. Mhm.
it was like, and we'd use the main TV. So I got the I got the GameCube, and it was a blue little GameCube, and that's why when I got the PlayStation, I was totally thrown off by the fact that you don't put in a disc and it just loads right up. It's like it has to download, and I'm like, "What is this?" Because I hadn't played in like 10 years, and I'm not used to this new wave of video gaming. And I'm like, I just want to play it. Where like I have a disc, it should just play. So I had come from like the GameCube world where that's how it worked. I think the like we got a few games. Again, we got like some baseball games and a football game like Madden, and
Mhm.
but like I really loved, we had Zelda Wind Waker cuz GameCube, if you don't know, that is a Nintendo. So that was like the Nintendo that came out before the Wii. So it was like the
Yep.
generation before the Wii, but
And
like
it's funny
after
cuz it's like I think the time gap between that is long.
long. Well,
GameCube
that's
came
usually
out
how it is. It's usually how
for
it is. Like
Nintendo.
yeah, Nintendo is
Yeah.
it's very long. It's like I think the Wii, and then they didn't have anything new until the Switch. I think it was like the
Correct.
Wii and then the Switch.
The PS2 came out, I believe, in 2000,
Oh wow.
and the PS3 came. Well, the PS1 came out in '94, I want to say,
Wow. So
and
6
then
years.
yeah, and then the PS. I think it is every 6 years. The PS3 came out in 2006, and then there was a longer gap for the PS4, which came out, I think, in 2013. It did. It came out in 2013. So I remember
Okay.
when
And
Brian
then
got his. So I never had the launch console. Like I've never
still
had
haven't.
the. I've still never had the like newest console. Like, or rather, I've had the newest. Like I have a PS4 and I have
Yeah.
had a PS3, but I've never had the like. Oh, like I never got it day one, which is I think a good thing because like I got to dodge the junky big
Yeah.
boy PS2s, and I still got a chunky PS2, but I got it after they figured out the problems with it. And ditto for PS3. Like we have our OG PS3 is still at home, but it's not the launch one. It's the like second wave, which was figured out. And like
Mhm.
our my PS4 is a PS4 Slim, not a PS4 OG. That was actually a gift
I think
from an
mine's a
ex.
slim too. Ooh.
Right?
Keep that.
Definitely.
Don't give that back.
I
It's a
was worried
gift.
that I was worried that I would lose it in the divorce, but it worked out.
No, never give up gifts. I mean, they're gifts. It's what they are. Um, yeah. So I was very much thrown off by the fact that the disc thing, that was very
Hmm.
weird to me. But yeah, I really loved Zelda Wind Waker was one of my favorites. But I do like speaking of the Blockbuster, I mean, we had Movie Gallery in Connecticut near my house. I mean, there was also a Blockbuster nearby, but Movie Gallery was our go-to. And when I found out that you could rent video games from there, it was a game changer, much to my mother's chagrin. Um, she was like, "Oh, you found that out, huh? Okay." So I swear I rented the Spider-Man game, and I do remember it vividly playing it. Um, I remember getting to a certain part where I had to chase the Green Goblin, and I kept losing him. Gave up, and I was like, "Nope, I'm done." Young Shannon was not about the try a million times lifestyle that I am now. Also, although I do get frustrated sometimes and I will text Tyler, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been doing the same part for 20 minutes. I haven't got past it. I'm about to give up.
Yeah, never
We
play
will,
the Call of Duty games on veteran. Then I just
I will never do that.
I'm only doing them because of that platinum bet that I have with Brian, and they're games that
I
I
see.
can get through. But like I platinumed Modern Warfare Remastered like last week, and I'm about to platinum Modern Warfare 2 Remastered. Modern Warfare 2, full disclosure, one of my favorite campaigns of all time. Of
Oh,
all time in
I think
any game.
think it was a
Not
free
just
game.
yeah, not just first person shooters, by the way, like of all time. And I know it's not
Oh,
like revolutionary in any way. It's just the best version of a Call of Duty campaign, I think. And I love it to death.
huh.
And I'm having trouble finishing it because veteran
Oh,
in those
really?
games is so fucking stupid. But anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt your story. Please continue.
Oh, no, it's fine. But yes, so I remember vividly during Last of Us Part 2, me texting Tyler being like, "I've been doing this for 20 minutes and I keep dying and I'm gonna scream." I was also just emotionally overwhelmed by the story, but that's regardless.
Mhm.
That's another story.
We could talk
Um,
about it because it's. I think that one's also counts as one of the first times you platinumed a game, right? Have you platinumed two yet?
I haven't no, I
Oh,
won't
okay.
probably.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know if I maybe. If I don't know, I haven't like I did a second playthrough and I think I rushed too much through the first one that I'd have to play again on the first and take it slower and I don't know if I want to do
Uh-huh.
that.
Well, I don't
um
think you can actually get a platinum for the first game anymore because they had online trophies, and they don't support the online anymore. So
oh yeah. No, I
for
mean like
Last of Us.
I'd have to play the first playthrough of
Oh, I
Last of
hear
Us
you.
2 again with
Well,
not a new game plus.
you can get the platinum in New Game Plus. That's what I did.
But I don't think I mean I'd have to really search around for like parts and stuff more than I do.
Yeah, that's true.
Think because
um,
I'm like I've almost fully upgraded every gun, but like not
mhm,
completely, and so
mhm.
I'm just like, and I'm on the final leg of it, and I know how much is left, and I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna do it. I'm like,
I I was talking about it with um Brian because we
mhm.
can't talk about it with I can't talk about it with Freddie because he
He
hasn't
needs
beaten
to
it
beat
yet.
it. Like I'm tired of not spoiling all of the craziness that happens
Yeah,
because I'm beating it yet.
but I will say it. I think I enjoyed it more the second time through
Mm, okay.
because everything that I felt about the game was more accentuated the second time through, if that makes sense. So like all the problems I had with it were worse this time,
Oh, okay.
but all the stuff that I liked about it, I loved a lot more.
Okay.
And I liked more about it than I disliked the first time through. So it kind of
Okay.
just it platinum it leveled out to be to increase my score for the game by like a point, maybe a point and a half to like an 8.5.
Okay.
Um,
I think I remember having this conversation with you. It's something, or I think because you very much are very into superheroes, which a lot of
mm,
people are, and I am as well. And I think that you really thrive in storytelling that's really, good versus evil, and very like black and white morally. Like it's
yeah, my initial take on that story, that's what I kind of felt the same way the second time as I did the first time. And it's like I'm still very attached to Joel and Ellie as characters.
Mhm.
And I think spending time away in between my first playthrough and my second playthrough, not thinking about The Last of Us or even playing anything like Uncharted or anything, just completely separating from the experience and then coming back. Um, I do care more about Joel than I ever realized I did. Um,
Hmm.
and Ellie, but I felt angrier at her the whole time. The second time through, because
Really?
well, yeah, and it's like I get it, whatever, blah blah blah, but it's like I did love. I actually think gameplay wise, maybe not story wise. Actually, no, yeah, story wise, I actually really enjoyed the Abby parts more.
Hmm.
Maybe not at her as a character, but that part of the game, if that makes sense,
I don't know
because
which one I liked more.
that's meant to be more of a traditional Last of Us experience.
Yeah,
Um,
I love both of them,
mhm.
and I also think that they are 100% the same person.
Yeah,
Um,
straight up.
and that was, I think, the whole point.
Hmm.
Um, that you can't love Ellie and hate Abby because then
Nope.
you'd hate
Well,
each
you
other.
can,
They'd hate. Well,
but
you can, but it doesn't make
then you're the kind of
sense.
person that sends death threats to Laura Bailey on
Yeah.
Twitter.
Ugh, please don't do that, anyone. Stop. She's
Which
the
that
best
phenomenon, by the
human.
way, is another reason why I didn't like the game.
Yeah,
That
well, we
the
can't let
fallout.
you can't let the
No, I
haters
know. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The fallout initially after the game
wasn't
came out
wasn't
kind
necessary.
of bled into my own opinions of the game. I didn't agree with what they were saying. I just the vibes
Mm.
affected me, and I just was so exhausted by the whole thing that I just was like, I didn't like it, and then I moved on. But
I
then I
get
played it
that.
again after it's out of the zeitgeist a little bit, and I enjoyed it a lot more. I
Yeah,
love.
and I
I
mean,
hope we get another one, and
I do too. I really
I
do.
hope
I
Abby and Lev are in it.
Same. I mean, they will be for sure. They gotta be. I mean, I and you know this more than I think many people, love Ellie, but I do get mad at her, like, often, but I feel like it's like you can get mad at someone you love, but you can't, like,
Mhm.
never stop, like, loving them. It's just like, "You're
Well,
just so stupid. Stop making stupid decisions."
yeah, I think that's like
It's like that type of thing.
part of what I think one of the things I think they did very well is that there's a foil for almost everybody in the story on
Mhm.
both sides. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So like Tommy is the like toxic, violent,
Mhm.
motivating force in Ellie's life. He
Mhm.
is foiled by characters like I think his name is Jesse or no Jacob. Whatever
No,
the
Jesse,
first
if you're talking
no not Jesse. Jesse's the cool guy.
Jesse is a
But
cool guy.
Jacob, I
Jacob.
think, is his name. He's one of the fucking wolves that you kill early on, or Manny.
Manny is Tommy kills Manny.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Is like Manny
Manny
is
is the Jesse
Manny is
because
to Manny is to Abby what
what Jesse is to
Jesse
Ellie.
is no
And
what
if
Tommy is to Ellie
you
because
think so? I don't think so.
Well,
I think it's Jesse.
well, Manny's like a toxic, violent friend. He like spits on Joel and wants to kill Ellie and Tommy and
It's
slaughters
true.
scars without thinking about it. Um,
That's
but he cares
true. But
about
I
Abby. Tommy
yeah, I just
slaughters people
yeah.
without thinking about it. Would torture and kill people to get what he needs without thinking about it, but loves Ellie in his own way.
Mhm.
Jesse, I think, is foiled by Owen in a way,
Yeah, that's true. Well, I so I see it a little
or
different because
Maybe Mel, and then
Mel
Dina and Owen are foils of each other
that's what I think, yes. I
because,
just
like,
see so
yeah,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I just saw, like so the one thing I noticed on my playback is that, Manny dies exactly how Jesse dies, if you noticed. Like,
mm-hmm,
he opens the door and Tommy shoots him in the face.
mm-hmm,
Jesse opens the door and Abby shoots him in the face.
mm-hmm,
I noticed that like, parallel. That was,
mm-hmm.
like, one of the first parallels that I noticed. I mean, not one of the first ones, but it was like, "Oh, okay, I see what you did there," like, best friend, like, yeah, okay.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, they die similarly, but the effects that they have on their respective protagonist
are
is the
different.
same. Like Manny supportive of Abby's quest for revenge in
Yeah.
a very toxic way. It's just like Tommy is. Whereas
Yeah.
Dina and Owen are supportive of the quest for revenge in because they care about Abby and Ellie, not because they feel the need for revenge themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Dina cares about Joel and that he is important to Ellie, and Owen cares about I can't remember her dad's name, but her dad,
Doctor.
Abby's dad, because he's a good influence and important to Abby, and he cares about Abby. I I loved Owen the first time through, and I was heartbroken when he died, and
Mm.
it was even worse the second time.
It's so sad for me because I just think of like the kid from oh my gosh, why can't I think of the movie? It's Patrick Fugit, so it's the Cameron Crowe movie. Oh, Almost Famous. I just think of Almost Famous. Like you killed the kid from Almost Famous. It's so sad.
Yeah, because it's
Um,
like I think there's
and then
so
you kill
many.
Aloy right next to him. Like, how dare you kill Aloy? Oh, this is so upsetting. It's like too many video
There's
game people in one room.
so many pretty like beautiful what ifs in the Last of Us universe. Like, what if Joel didn't die? He and Ellie live like growing up and getting to like you know, reconcile with one another would have been beautiful. Owen, Abby,
Hmm.
Mel, and the kid and Lev and Yara getting to go to Santa Barbara together and become fireflies.
Oh, Yara's death, like I screamed. I was not expecting it. I screamed and I cried a little bit. I that shook me so hard. I almost couldn't go on. I was like I was so upset by that. I was so upset
Like,
by that. I was
and it
like
happens so fast.
oh my god, I even when I played it the second time, I like like I knew what it was coming up. I dreaded going through that door. I was like, I don't want to do it. Just like it's like so much worse when you know what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
Oh
man.
my gosh,
I
it's so much worse.
I skipped the Joel scene the second time. I couldn't handle it.
I had to watch it a second time because of my friend hadn't seen it, and I also hated that too. I was like, I like literally shut off because I was streaming on Twitch, and I'm like, I'm just gonna shut off my microphone at this time, and I'll let you watch it and not say anything. And I was just like, I'm not. I can't say. I can't. I don't want to play it. So I don't want
Yeah.
to. I don't want to do anything.
No, yeah, like as soon as I got to the chateau, I skipped it, and as soon as it cut to me getting there as Ellie, I skipped it, and then when I went back, I skipped it. Like
Yeah,
I just I couldn't
it's a
handle it, man.
lot.
I
It's a
can't.
lot. So I have a question for you
Go
because a
for it.
lot of things are in trilogies, and I do believe in my heart that there probably will be a third game.
There will be. There's no way they don't. Because even though it was panned by a lot of people, they aren't the
Not
loudest
critically
voices.
though. Not
No,
critically though.
critically it did well, and financially it did well. It made
Oh yeah.
bundles of money, oodles of
It
money.
had
Some would
and it
say
has the most awards of any video game over The
ever.
Witcher 3. So yeah,
Yes,
it's so I would say I mean, I am trying to think like in terms of an arc, an overarching arc of the three games. I think each of them has like a theme. And I don't know if it can be summed up in one word because I wouldn't necessarily sum up um the second game as revenge
I
only
think
because
I
I
would.
you would?
Yeah, I
I mean
think
it is
the first game is love
okay,
and what you would do for those that you love.
okay,
The second game is vengeance and the toll it takes on you. And I think the
okay.
third game could be redemption.
That's what I was thinking too, and I wanted to see if you agree with me.
Yeah.
That's
I
like
genuinely I think we'll get an older Ellie. I don't think she's going to get to be back with Dina. I don't think she's going to find her redemption that way.
don't say that to me. Don't
I'm
say that to
sorry, but
me.
I just
No, I
narratively it
refuse.
doesn't make sense. It
Narratively,
would
in my heart, it makes sense.
I know, but narratively it would belittle the Hang on. What's up, buddy? Oh, you're just out here to interrupt the podcast just for fun? Good night. I love you. Have a good time. Good night. I love you.
um, I don't
Anyway,
know. I think narratively, if her quest for redemption had something to do with that, because I honestly do believe that her quest for redemption will have to somewhat do with Dina
Oh,
and JJ.
I think that they will like reconcile with one another, but I don't think that reconciliation involves it getting back together. I think Ellie's arc ends with her not alive. just
Yeah.
just so you know where
No, I'm okay with that ending. I think
but
that that is the only ending.
the way I think it's gonna go is she gets back to Jackson and is like, ugh, there's nothing for me here anymore. Like Joel's gone, Tommy's a douchebag, Dina doesn't want anything to do with me. I need to find a purpose because she's at her happiest and her most not maybe not happiest, but
Definitely not
most
happiest.
most sustainable when she has a mission.
Yeah.
Like the aimless life of being on the farm is what manifested her PTSD and made her feel like she needed to go and get closure with Abby, which she did get. I will say that she did get closure with Abby. I
I
think
really loved that ending.
me
I
too.
know it's controversial.
I
I
was
loved that
so
ending.
upset because I thought she was going to kill her, and I was like, "You assholes
She
and you
didn't.
bitch."
She didn't though.
I
That's the
know,
thing. I love that ending.
me too, and I was
Hmm.
upset until she stopped, because like if that had been like that would have completely like that would have been it. I wouldn't have like that. That would have been it. I would have never like like
She
that's
would have
just
fully lost herself. She wouldn't have been
yeah
Ellie anymore.
yeah. But anyway, I do think that the third game will involve Ellie getting closure with the Firefly thing, like because
Hmm.
there's the revelation that they may be still around, and I don't think Jerry. That's his name. I remembered. I don't think Jerry was the only doctor capable of
That
manufacturing a
is true.
vaccine. I just think that they were scattered something fierce when Joel slaughtered like you know most of them. And
Gosh, that part takes so long in the game.
I know he kills so many of them.
I'm like, we probably only have like an hour left. I think I said that to you, and I was like 2.5 hours later. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm finally done. It's like it takes forever to slaughter all those people.
Yeah, but
It's
I think
crazy.
Abby and Lev are gonna find them again,
The Fireflies
and
or Ellie?
the
I think
Fireflies,
both.
the Fireflies. And then I think that something's gonna happen to Abby. I don't think she's gonna be dead or out of commission or anything, but I think something's gonna happen with her that Lev needs to like track Ellie down, and so Ellie and JJ set out to find the Fireflies. Like this is like 10 years from where we are in the story right now. So
Yeah.
like JJ's going to be like 13 or
Or-
like 12 years, 12, 13 years from now. So JJ will be like 13 and Lev
So
will
it will be
be
like basically like an Ellie with a Joel.
Well, I'm thinking it'll be like you'll play two perspectives again and you'll switch between Ellie and JJ, and Ellie will feel like will want to it'll be like the opposite of her. It'll be like the same as her dynamic with Joel, but the age difference will be the opposite. So like she's gonna want to reconcile with JJ, but he doesn't want anything to do with her because she abandoned him and her
Hmm.
and Dina at a young age. I think it's funny that
Okay.
we were supposed to talk about our first video games, but we ended up just talking
Yeah.
about The Last of Us 2 for 30 minutes. But anyway, uh, and then they are going to find the Fireflies so Ellie can try to make good on the vaccine thing. And I do think it might end with Ellie either dying before she gets the chance or realizing that they can't actually anymore because her infection is now too old or something. Or like at this point, humans have developed a herd immunity or something like that. You know what I mean? Like maybe she doesn't get that closure, like the easy closure,
Hmm.
but I don't know. And then, but yeah, I don't think I would. I hope they include, even if they do, like it's. I just don't want them to not include Abby as a playable character. I
No,
really
I
enjoy
want them
Abby.
to. I think that I my hope is that Abby and Ellie have to team up in some way.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's my thing. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that, everybody has their theories, and then everybody, and then the game's gonna come out, and it's gonna, be
Not do
one way
any of that.
or not do any of
It's gonna
it.
be about people in
Um,
England that have nothing to do with Ellie.
oh God, I'd be so mad. Then I'd be actually mad. I'd be like, no, mm-mm.
Yep.
Um, I don't.
I would
I
love to see
honestly,
that. I will be honest. I just want to say that I would love to see different
I
worldly
would.
perspectives on the virus
I
and
think
the parts of the world. But
I have a good closure arc
hmm
on the main people. I'm very much open to the Last of Us world being explored in other areas for
agreed,
100%.
agreed.
I do not accept the ending of Last of Us Part 2 as the ending of that whole story. I just don't. I just don't. I don't, because I remember in the first game when Ellie's biggest fear is that she ends up alone, and I was like, I don't want her, like, right now it's come true. Like, of her own doing 100%, but it still is like come true.
Oh,
She's
that's
alone,
heartbreaking.
and it's heartbreaking, and she's lost the ability to play guitar and be close to Joel in that way. And so it's just literally everything, and it was just all sad. And I mean, there's no, I don't see like amazing happy endings happening in this world that's this horrible. But like at the end of the first game, it was this mixture of feelings of like happy and sad, whereas I really just felt sad at the end
hmm
of I felt like I had been on this crazy journey. I was like emotionally tired. um and like I was happy that Abby and they were both still alive. That was like the only happiness, but it wasn't like the same, it
Yeah,
wasn't
and I mean that
like,
even is like we don't know, like we don't know if she's ever like Abby's ever really gonna be able to get back to any kind of normalcy after that. I mean, they were slaves and like hardcore slaves, like
yeah, yeah,
post-apocalypse slaves for
yeah,
months, and like
yeah, she was withering
it's
away up there.
that's why
And I
it's
like the
like so
fact that Ellie
bittersweet.
practically saved her. And
hmm
it does, and
Oh,
then that is
practically.
like she's 100% saved her. She 100% saved her and Lev, and she did it in a way to get, but when she let them go, she saved them.
hmm
And that is a step towards redemption. She's got like a long little ways to go, but to make up for other
I saw an
mistakes.
interesting idea where this third game is Ellie eventually just gives up on she needs her life to have meaning, right? Like that's her whole it's like the whole point, right? And
Hmm.
her life having meaning when she was a child was that she might be able to they might be able to make a vaccine because of her. And then when that was taken away from her, her life the meaning of her life became that she had people that loved her and she had people that she loved. Now all of those are gone. So um
Yeah.
I think like the theory that this person posed was that event that Ellie finds meaning by going to all these towns and tearing down the like evil groups that pop up. You know what I mean? Like, so
Ooh,
she's like hopping.
she's like a
She's like a
vengeance angel
yeah. She's like a wandering, like a
mercenary.
nomad, like almost like Mad Max. You know, because like there's a bit where like
Mad Ellie.
one of her journal entries is scars, wolves, rattlers, fireflies. Dot dot dot. Fuck all these groups. Like
But like honestly, they're all cults.
they literally all are. So there's like a theory that she'll just start wandering around and tearing
I love these theories. I
all these big
do.
groups down, and in doing so, she develops a reputation. And Lev tries to find her. Lev and Abby try to find her to have her help them,
Kill all
like,
the
well, save the fireflies. I was gonna say,
no,
but
kill fireflies. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the fireflies. They're fine. Maybe. I don't know.
well,
Um
I think they're the least gross of all the
they're the
groups.
least gross of all, because you definitely like them in the
I mean,
first
they're
game. I mean,
terrorists.
until the end,
They are
you like
terrorists.
them. They are terrorists because I mean, the beginning they do the bombing.
Hmm. But
Um,
at least they're not slavers. At least they're
the
not a
Rattlers, no.
yeah. At least they're not a fanatical cult
Oh,
that
that was so scary. The
disembowels
scars.
people, and at least they're not like a military fascist group.
Yeah, it's very interesting the world that they created.
It really is. Yeah.
It's very accurate to what humanity would do with the
Hmm.
breakdown of
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
but I truly believe that while the second game is very much about vengeance, I think a lot of it is also about survivor's guilt on both sides,
Hmm.
especially Ellie. I feel like
Sure.
that's the whole thing that is.
I
I
think that
mean,
falls under a motivation for the vengeance. Like,
oh, for sure. I just think like I mean, and it gets and it. The problem with it is that it starts with not being the cure, and then it
hmm,
gets worse with Joel dying, and then it gets worse as she goes on her you know, vengeance spree when her friends die, and then she's got all this blood on her hands, and she's you know, it just becomes more and more guilty of like, why am I still here?
hmm,
And I think that part of her, I don't know, I think I think she needs to figure out a different motivation to live other than to, you know, find something worth fighting for. And
hmm,
worth fighting for doesn't mean necessarily having to fight somebody, you know?
hmm.
But we also have to remember she's literally 19 in this game. I feel like we forget this and we're like, why are you making these dumb choices? Like we didn't make stupid decisions. I mean, we didn't make this like level of decisions. I feel like you grew up a little bit faster
That's
in
an
this world. But
excellent
like
point. I
but
mean,
she
yeah,
is 19 years old. That is like
she was
sophomore year of college.
she
Like
was emotionally 19 in the first game,
she was emotionally 19 in the first game.
but
I
for
just like it's just interesting because I feel like everyone's like, "Oh, why are you making these dumb decisions?" And I'm like, "Well, like, okay, sophomore year of college, what were you doing?" Like, you know, it's yes. It I mean, I'm excited to see like I feel like I can't even remember what I was like at 19. Not nearly making like good life decisions
oh,
like
I
I am
would yeah,
now.
I
Like
shudder to think of how I would handle an apocalypse at 19.
yeah, I mean, it's tough, and I, like, added layers of, like, having to grow up so fast,
Mhm.
added layers of a lot of trauma, like, a
Not
lot of trauma.
having a dad you love more than life itself, and then
Yeah.
realizing that that dad's an asshole, and not having him again even though he exists, and then right as you're about to have him again, he gets his head caved in.
Mhm.
That's
In
like
front of you.
I think that's what my one of my biggest heartbreaks about that is that they didn't let there be any
Yeah, but
time
I think it's
between their last
powerful.
conversation and him dying.
Oh my god, that, like, scene at the end, I was like, "You doing this to me? Cool.
Yeah, like
Okay."
that's one of those where it feels like, yo, it would make everyone playing this so sad if we did it this way. And it's just like, come on, man. Like now
I
there's
love
like
that.
no stories that you can tell. Like there's no reason to flashback to Joel anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like we
but
could
I love
have more
that. I love
we could have more Joel if they do his time with Tommy, but like I don't care. They villainized Tommy at the end of the last game. I don't give a fuck about that dude.
yeah. I love when shows, games, anything can like really bring out an emotional response in me,
Hmm.
particularly like if you can make me so sad for like a month, then I'm really impressed. I'm also pissed because I don't want to be that sad for a month. But like if you
Fucking
can stick with me and like really like seep into my bones, like there are I can count on my hand how many shows or video games or anything that have like emotionally affected me to the point where I thought about it all the time. Like when I would hear a song, I would think about it. Like it's
hmm,
like Buffy, Last of Us, like Spider-Man game. Like it's
hmm.
not like a lot of things.
Same.
So
Yeah,
I'm
I
very much like that's why it holds such a deep place in my heart. And I feel like that's why I got so like into video games, especially like narrative ones, is because I realized I think not many people realize just how rich the narratives are in video games, and how like now I watch movies and I'm like, okay, this is not even close to being as good a narrative as a video game. Like what is this like it's just like and there's a whole added element of that you're playing this
Yeah.
person so you feel emotionally and physically like involved in it because you're moving them, you're picking what they say in some cases in some games, you know,
Well, a single game can come out and have more of an impact on you than a movie because and and it's like movies are my desired medium to express myself. That's a thing. And that'll always be true. And there are like there are movies that made me a emotional wreck of a human being for a number of reasons. Like it's lame and kind of cringy, but Endgame made me cry like a fucking baby. And a bunch of
I think
times
it's
for
whatever makes you, you know,
well,
whatever
it's the thing
moves
is
you,
it's like
moves you.
people yeah, it's like I love movies as a medium as like as much as I love video games as a medium. And to that end, I love video games like The Last of Us 2, Ghost of Tsushima as much as I like games like fucking Call of Duty Modern Warfare or fucking like 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 time killers. You know what I mean? Like I like to play games to have fun as much as I like to play games to experience emotions and stories. Just like I like to watch movies to have fun and to experience emotions. It's like one of my favorite movies of all time is Her.
Her?
Her.
Like
Um,
Joaquin Phoenix, Scarlett
yeah.
Johansson, her?
Uh-huh.
Oh, and I that's a fact I did not know about you, and honestly, did not expect,
Right.
but I enjoy that
I'm
movie. I have not seen it in a long time, but
I one of the things that I find the most fascinating in art is the way different people will interpret and actualize interpersonal relationships in their art and
mhm,
all the different nuances to something like love or hate.
mhm,
Um, and I like in Her, the story of love that they tell is a very traditional, true love story, but it's between a man and an artificial intelligence, and that's
yes,
new and interesting and kind of out there. Um, in The Last of Us, you have a girl who is 15 and
14.
14, sorry, and not, but not, you know what I mean? Like she's already
Mhm.
lived like she's lived enough life experience to be like 30 at the point that we meet her.
I
But
mean, but she's still like, yes, yes,
she's still very much a teenager. But it's different because like her context and Joel as well. Like he sees a young girl and that makes him react in a certain way because he had lost his own daughter that was of a very similar age, but it was also his daughter would be like 36 at the time of The Last of Us 1.
yeah, she would be older.
And it's weird the like cuz like he doesn't do any real emotional growth between losing her and meeting Ellie. So Ellie comes in and meets a Joel that is emotionally broken down, but very much so still like the same type of person.
Still wears plaid all the time, and we
Hmm.
stand.
Hmm. And I guess what I'm saying is it's like their relationship is one that's not, it's unique to them. And I like it when a piece of art can convey that
Dynamic, yeah.
nuance, nuances of interpersonal relationships. I also love it when a character that I feel an attachment to has sees their arc come to fruition after just years and years of grueling labor to get there, i.e., an Iron Man in Endgame. I
Mm,
mean,
yeah.
I've been watching Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man since 2008,
Gosh, I can't believe it's been that long. It
and he has
doesn't feel
been
like it's been
through
that long.
a lot.
Yeah.
And so his arc coming to fruition exactly where he knew it needed to come and where it was always going and where he wanted it to go so he could finally rest. that's emotional. I don't care who you are. You can think they're
No, it
stupid.
definitely is.
You could think they're stupid emotional, or you could think they're stupid like meritless roller coasters or whatever. I don't care. I both agree and disagree with Martin Scorsese's words. Not to the extent that I'll yell about it on Twitter, but still. Um,
I think the whole concept of what is a movie and what is cinema is very personal to
Subjective.
people.
Yeah.
And yes, exactly. It's not like, I mean, it's just it's a ridiculous conversation. It's a
Yeah.
ridiculous conversation to say that something isn't a movie or isn't cinema because it's about superheroes. I mean, superheroes and comic books and that have helped so many people and saved so many people that were struggling, and just like reading those have made them feel better. I mean, you can't take that away from anybody,
Mm-mm.
and you shouldn't try to. I mean, just because it's not like, Casablanca doesn't mean it's not a movie,
Exactly.
I mean,
But I
I
also
think
go ahead.
no, it's such it's an annoying topic to me that I don't understand why it's brought up every like 3 months. It's just
Yeah.
like and I think people it's like somewhat connected to the fact that we can't go to movie theaters, and it's like, okay, like it's not that we don't want to go. It's just that we cannot go for our safety right now. Like I would love to go and see like a movie on a big screen. I would have loved to see Barb and Star go to Vista Del Mar on in the movie theater because I think that would have been hilarious to see with an audience.
Same.
I am very much a movie theater person, and I'm not like gonna be like I'll never go to a movie theater again because I can watch it in my house. And like I think also like superhero movies are even better on a big screen. Like
They're meant for it.
what much better on a big screen. But like I mean also I don't know. It just I get so upset about the idea that like some person calling other people's art not as much art as theirs is. It's just like okay. It doesn't it just annoys me. It's just
No, I
annoying
agree.
because it's there's no reason to do that, and there's no reason to put down what people like. And I do like Martin Scorsese as a director, and I like a lot of his movies, but I'm like, did I need 3 hours of The Irishman? No, I did not need 3 hours of The Irishman. Like I like 3 hours of uh Endgame was much more enjoyable. Like
I
in
think
terms of
I
like
think
let's be honest.
it's an interesting parallel, and we should wrap it up soon because we're just crossing over the hour mark. But
Okay.
it's an interesting parallel that you brought up. It's like belittling something because of what it is, because you
Yeah.
don't deem it meritorious in a subjective view of, or in a somehow objective view of art, even though it's literally impossible to be objective about art beyond stating what the content is and what is physically said. Um,
100%.
but it's like people have belittled comic books as a storytelling medium forever, literally since they existed.
Which is ridiculous because you see how much IP is from comic books?
It's
Like
so stupid. Like what? Because there's pictures,
yeah,
you're
I
gonna
don't understand
belittle
it.
the story being told. It's the same with video games. It's like because it like what where are you like what where are you decide like what how can you possibly decide that video games are less of an art form
There
than a
is no
movie?
it's
Because what? Because it's a game? Like what, who cares? Like people like what am I trying like something like Die Hard.
Mhm.
People look at Die Hard like it's objectively like a masterpiece. Like it's the action movie, right? Even someone like Martin Scorsese would say like that's a great movie.
Mhm.
Why though? Because it's about a character that it's about a person that you care about facing seemingly insurmountable odds and coming out on top saving the day. Batman's been doing that shit since 1940.
I mean, I'm over the idea of putting down someone else's preferred art form to, I don't know, make yourself feel better about your chosen art form. I mean,
Hmm.
like, if you don't like video games, you don't I mean, if you just don't understand it, you don't wanna understand it, that's fine. You do not have to play, you do not have to watch, but you don't have to, like, say anything either. Like,
Hmm.
it's like, and same with comics, if you don't wanna read them, you don't have to read them. If you don't, but, if you watch a movie and it's based on a comic book and you say, like, "Oh, comic books are stupid, I don't know why people read those," like, then you can't say that. It's just I just there's this the whole idea of, putting down an art form while, like, lifting up your own personal one, like, "Well, this one's better." Like, it doesn't make sense to me because you're hurting somebody who clearly has a personal connection to this piece of art, and that's fine. Like, life is short, life is hard. We find comfort where we find comfort. There's no reason to like to belittle the person's comfort. Like, just accept it, and just if you want to learn more about it, take an active interest. If you don't, you don't have to, but there's no reason to not understand it and accept it. It's just and it's something as little as that should not be that difficult for people, but here we are. So
Amen.
but yes, that's my 2 cents on that whole thing. I just, it's ridiculous, and everyone should be able to like what they wanna like in terms of, if they like comic books, movies, video games, TV shows, books, whatever, music, it's just let them like what they wanna like, and there's no reason to put it down because, I mean, gosh, there's a lot more crazy things happening in this world than that.
Amen, man.
It's
Dude.
just
I love it. No, you pulled a Tyler. Most of the time, I'm the one who does most of the heavy lifting on these shows. But
really?
yeah, man. I mean, I'm the one. I'm the only one who's on all of them. So I'm the one who has the most experience in this situation. So it's just kind of at this point, I'm easy. It's easy and it's natural for me. But no, man, I completely agree with everything that you said.
Thank
Um,
you.
there, just as an aside that I'm going to leave in, we'll figure out the structure and format of this show a little bit more
Yes,
eventually. I
we
didn't
definitely
want
got
to.
off
I didn't.
track.
Yeah, I didn't really want to have like a hard theme for this first recorded episode. I don't know if this is going to be the first one we release. If it ended up being so, well, there you go, fans. But
Yeah, there you go.
I wanted to just kind of see where the conversation would take us. In the future, though, we're going to do retrospectives on specific games and series. Like, for example, or phenomenon in video games. But for example, uh, the next episode we're going to do, or record anyway, is we're going to do an Uncharted retrospective. Or
I have to play it.
it's either going to be an Uncharted quadrilogy
Oh, Lord.
retrospective because I'm right now doing my definitive playthroughs of those games.
Oh
So
gosh, I gotta catch up.
playing through them all to get the platinum for my bet with Brian, and he's also going to do the same thing because he doesn't have the platinums for the remaster, the Uncharted collection on PS4, which is what I'm going to be
Uh-huh.
playing to get the platinums. And
Okay.
while Brian and I are doing that, because we've both already beaten all of those games more than once, just for fun. Um, while we're platinuming them, I want Shannon to be going through her first playthrough of all the games.
Uh-uh.
So we'll talk about Brian and my first or final, like not final. I'm not gonna ever not play Uncharted ever again, but my definitive playthrough of each game, ditto for Brian, will be mirrored with Shannon's first playthrough of those games. Or we're gonna talk about Horizon
Yes. I have
because
played through that
Horizon,
one. Took forever,
yeah,
but I did it.
Horizon for me is one of the first times I was like wowed by the scale of a game
Oh,
in
yeah. Massive.
the
Massive world. Amazing world.
yeah, and it's one of the most unique and beautiful worlds created for games, and a special thing too because it's one of the best examples, I think, of a strong female lead that doesn't feel forced.
We stan our redheads in video
Yeah,
games.
yeah. Um, so
Literally every game.
that'll be an interesting conversation that I'm very excited for. But in the meantime, I had a great time.
This was awesome. This was very fun.
This is the beginning of something special, I think.
Oh, yeah.
If
Oh, yeah.
nothing else, it'll be an excuse to hang out and talk about video games for an hour and a half, a couple
That's
times a
always welcome. I
week.
usually talk to people who don't play, and they're just like, "Mhm," and I'm just, "Don't understand."
I will never be that way, I promise.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah,
Anyway,
this has
uh,
been fun.
it has. I've been Tyler,
I've been Shannon.
and this has been a as of yet unnamed video game show. Once we come up with a name, I'll probably record a beginning and end roll with all our links and shit. So I'm not going to bother with that right now. Anyway, thank you for listening, and tune in
Thank you
next
for
time.
listening. Yes. Tune in. Be sure to.
Bye.
Bye.